what can be helpful in managing anger or overcoming anger. And often this comes up in therapeutic setting about what could be helpful. So really today we're looking at this image here, or this recording of the fire, and I thought this represents sometimes the idea of how anger can flare up. And if we look at this image now, or this video of the fire, the flames are spitting and it's glowing quite strongly, like it might do if we were angry. If we thought of this as our anger, then it's quite hot and it's quite, intense still. And that's partly because I moved all of the fuel around in the fire prior to recording this. And when I did that, it kind of gave it a new burst of life. So I'd fed the fire and moved the fuel around and added those little bits of sawdust stuff to it. So it's then kind of flared up with fire and flame. And in some ways that's similar to anger, where we can feed the anger by adding bits of information or thinking about things that might annoy us, or think about what feels unjust about something, think about what's led us to be annoyed and ruminate on that. But what we're looking to do is try a few different ways of reframing things, looking at things from a different angle, and thinking about, letting your thoughts and feelings kind of be there. Don't try and suppress them, and just let them radiate a little bit like this fire is. But also think about, how can we redirect our thoughts? How can we reframe things? What might be helpful? So I guess the first thing that comes to mind is this idea of, how can we look at the situation differently? And it might be quite hard to think, how can I look at this differently? It might be, a tricky thing in the sense that it might seem that this is a very concrete thing. But it's just trying to find, is there any loose, is there any kind of leverage there where we could try and move something around, or appraisal of things? Is it that it could be seen in a different way by someone else, and that actually it might be quite a positive thing? Or is it worth thinking about, how might somebody else see this? Or if we were to change the lens through which we see it, like you might do with a camera, then what would the different lenses or different angles tell us about the situation? And I guess when doing this, it's also helpful to think about, if it's that you're annoyed with somebody else, you could think about, if I was to stand in their shoes and kind of think about what's driving what they've said or done, or how they've been, then what many different reasons could they have been like that? And where does that kind of root cause or root reason of them being like that come from? And when we do this, it's kind of what they call mentalizing, or standing in other people's shoes, and kind of just really thinking about, maybe they were feeling anxious, or maybe they were feeling angry themselves, or maybe it reminds them of a situation they were in before, and it's not really maybe about you, it's maybe about other experiences that they've had that have been similar. It might be that it feels unjust, something that's happened, and it might be thinking, in this bigger picture of things, how could I even look at this from their perspective, be it from an organisational perspective, be it from a group perspective, from a kind of people's perspective, from a different cultural perspective even, and look at the different perspectives that people might have, or reasons, and those different kind of outside of ourselves, perspectives. And when we do that, it can help cut off some of that kind of ruminative fuel that we put onto the fire. And if we look at this fire now, it's starting to die down, and I guess it's thinking about, well, noticing that your anger might be dying down as you think about these different perspectives that people might have, or different reasons that things could have happened. And it's just noticing that as the fire dies down, things can calm down and your emotional state can dampen down and just kind of feel a bit more relaxed as well. And it might be that you notice how it might feel to sit in front of this fire and just feel relaxed and comfortable and cozy and warm, and just, be at peace with yourself. Just you and the kind of warm, glowing fire. And just noticing the flames as they shoot up a little bit. But as they're also settling down, just notice how your emotional state's settling down a little bit. Just noticing other things around you as well. What is there around you that's in your environment? What can you touch around you? What can you smell? Just grounding yourself a little bit and just really taking a moment for yourself in the here and now. Just noticing how the fire dies down and becomes just a glowing embers, and the flames have now dissipated, and how that also feels calming for you.